Have you ever watched a movie or a show or even played a video game that had a villain in it? Chances are you've looked at least one of those guys and been like, you know what? I understand. I kind of dig this guy. I'm not gonna lie. Even though what they may be doing is despicable, your inner consciousness can't help but relate to the pain and suffering that causes these characters to be so likely to act out on jealousy and past despair. In this video, I'm gonna be breaking down some of Hollywood's biggest villains, and we're gonna get to the bottom of why we personally relate to villains more than heroes. And before we get into it, I want every single one of y'all to comment your favorite villain of all time. It could be from a game, it could be from a book, it could be from a movie, a show, wherever. It could be you. Whoever your favorite villain is, just let me know in the comments down below. And I apologize for the hair. One of my personal favorite villains of all time is the Joker. Though he comes off as a deranged, killing madman, when you dig a little below the surface, he almost becomes a really relatable, sad little shell of a man. The most interesting part about the Joker to me is that in the comic books, he even says that his memory is a little hazy, even to himself. He remembers certain things one way and certain things the other way, so it's really hard to pinpoint his intentions for evil in this world. It points him out kind of as a bit of like a lost soul, you know? He even has a quote in one of the really old comics that it heavily resonated with me. He says, "If I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice," which directly makes him look like a man who's running from those early childhood memories instead of wanting like a definitive answer to why he is the way he is, which is probably very similar to a lot of us today who just take our anger out on the world instead of pinpointing, you know, childhood traumas that might make us this way. You know, I'm sure some of us would rather remember family memories or past relationship or past friendships in a positive light, you know, like, man, that person was a good person, you know, even though there was a lot of bullshit going on, we all still choose to remember things in our past in a positive light, you know, we choose to bend the reality of what really occurred for our own peace of mind, you know, to prevent us from really facing trauma and getting hurt, which I believe Joker does a lot of that, and I'm gonna break a little bit of that down for you guys. So now we'll get into that beef that he has with that one guy that thinks he's a bat. In the movies, it's not really specified why Joker is the way he is, you know, it's not really touched upon that much. He just seems like he is the yang to Batman's yin. But they go way back. As a failing comedian and a pregnant wife, the Joker, before he was the Joker that we knew, set out as a criminal known as the Red Hood, committing crimes of financial gain to support his pregnant wife and failing career. He was eventually stopped by the Batman, and they had a little bit of a scuffle that ended in the Joker, before he was the Joker, falling into a chemical vat that burned off all of his skin and made him fucking crazy. From then on, he was the Joker that we know. So, you know, in my opinion, it's very easy to sympathize with that early reminiscence of Joker, you know? Before he was crazy, he was just trying to make a couple hundred or a couple $1,000 to, you know, support his future family, something that a lot of young men and just people in general could really relate to, you know? When the times get rough, people do desperate things, and I'm sure somebody that's watching this video has done a very desperate thing for some money because you were just trying to support yourself or somebody that you love. And in the Joker's eyes, he had his whole life ruined by a billionaire that's, you know, pretending to be somebody, you know, pretending to be a superhero with all of his money that could give him the coolest suits and the coolest powers ever, when he was just a poor man, you know, trying to scrape away money that, you know, the Batman, Bruce Wayne, would have wiped his ass with. I mean, in my opinion, that would make any man like a bloodlusting, revengeful human, you know? He's always hell-bent on, you know, killing the Bat or defeating the Bat, and I understand him, really. When life gets hard and we're at our most vulnerable, some of us make desperate decisions, and it's always the goody two-shoes that always has to come and rub it in our faces, you know? Coming out of any negatively traumatic experience will likely put a chip on anybody's shoulder. What's interesting is, in their own right minds and what they believe, the Joker uses that chip on his shoulder for vengeance, and Batman uses that chip on his shoulder for vengeance. Because in the world of Joker, he's not doing anything wrong. He's not making people suffer. He's not taking lives. He's not ruining people's lives. He's getting back what he felt was his. And I feel like, you know, just to tie this into our own lives, I feel like we might also be hurting ourselves or other people close to us, but we could be so blinded by our own perceived destiny, and we end up creating an echo chamber, you know, similar to what the Joker has in the Batman series. You know, he's crazy, he laughs at his own jokes, he's in his own head, he's got voices all around him, you know, he's in an echo chamber, and he's doing what he believes is righteous. One of the saddest scenes in any of the Batman movies for me with the Joker is the scene where he's hanging upside down from the skyscraper, and he's almost vulnerable with us for a little bit of a second. He almost is human to us. He almost lets us see into him, and we learn that without the Batman, you know, his yang to his yin, he is purposeless. Countless times, you can see it throughout all the films, all the shows, all the comics. The Joker has an opportunity to kill Batman, but he just never will, you know? He just never will. Because then the chase is over and he's directionless. I think this is where the Joker is a shell of a man, you know? I think he's terrified to be directionless, you know? He can justify all of his means as long as the Batman is doing the opposite, you know? As long as the Batman gets up in the middle of the night to save the day and, you know, be the one guy that could stop the Joker. As long as the Batman is there, the Joker will always be there. You know, the Batman doing all his goody two-shoes activities in the light of the Joker, who had his life ruined by Batman doing his goody two-shoes activities, is the only thing that gives Joker the purpose in life. And he simply could not keep living and, you know, feeling righteous in what he's doing, knowing that the one man that could stop him can no longer stop him. I sympathize with the Joker, and I feel like it's relatable to all of us, you know? We keep our friends close, but we're always watching what our biggest enemy does, you know? On the basketball court, the guy that's neck and neck with you, you care more about what he's doing than anybody else on that court. I'm a YouTuber, and there'll be YouTubers in my little niche that I kind of dive into, and I watch every single one of their videos, and I hate them. If I hate their videos, I'm watching every single one. Why are you watching something you hate? Because you keep your enemies as close as you possibly can. Maybe on that social media app, you know, the person you hate the most, that guy you hate from high school, that girl you hate from high school, you'll type in their name every now and then, just for the slight hope that they're doing worse, you know? Growing hatred for a human being who likely has no ill intentions towards you, it can almost motivate you to push harder for what you believe is right. So, you know, Joker, man, I get you, bro. And we're going to be tapping into one more villain in today's video. So if you guys have been enjoying, make sure you drop a like. And it is my personal favorite, Agent Smith from The Matrix. Agent Smith is a program created by The Matrix to be a regulator. You know, stop the red pills from escaping and just maintain order in The Matrix. They are the police of the police. He is disgusted by the human race, and he views us as a disease of the world, a virus that just won't stop spreading. The Matrix in itself is a movie with its core theme based on duality, existence and reality, choice and predetermination, Agent Smith and Neo. Just like the Batman, there's always a yin to the yang, and it gives purpose to the other and what they're doing. What makes Agent Smith so much different than the Joker and relatable to the average man here on planet Earth is that he isn't a deranged psychopath who's like teetering on the line of unpredictability of violence. Agent Smith is very calm and methodical with everything he does in the movie. Much like the inner and buried consciousness of all of us, most of us have the same thoughts as someone like Agent Smith, but we can't act out on our deepest desires because society and the world around us suppresses that deep urge, that deep feeling to escape, to break free. And I'm going to break this down with one of the most chilling scenes in the entire movie where Agent Smith makes us fully relate and understand him. While Agent Smith is trying to beat information out of Morpheus, he disconnects his earpiece, which is essentially disconnecting him from everything that chains him down. No communications, no one to report to, no one he has to adhere to his position to. He is in control. He's the one who calls the shots now. In the movie, this is a metaphor for everything that has us chained down as men in society. The earpiece, in this sense, could be a boss, a wife, a job, you know, responsibilities that society deems mandatory, or any other thing that forces you to have to stay in check. You know, you can't be wild, you can't be yourself. But once we take that earpiece off, we're free to express our feelings however we want, and we're no longer anchored down, just like Agent Smith. He expresses that he too also hates the Matrix and wants to escape it, just like Neo and Morpheus. He despises the simulation, he even hates the smell of it, he grows to hate every little detail around it. And this is relatable because even some of us are angry about the place that we're stuck in here on planet Earth, and you start to hate every little thing inside of it, down to the little details. You hate that that bird landed on that tree. You hate that your neighbor took their trash out at that time. You hate that you're at a red light for more than 15 seconds. You start to hate every little thing around you, and you want to destroy the world. So I understand Mr. Smith in this light, you know? I don't really see him as a villain. I just see him as a man that has another view, you know? He has another way of doing what he thinks is right, just like the Joker. Whereas Neo and Morpheus want to destroy the Matrix to free everybody's mind and free all the humans that are trapped by the robots, Agent Smith wants to destroy the humans and destroy the robots and kill everything. He wants the whole thing to burn down in a blaze of glory. In this vulnerability, he's no longer calm and collected like he's been the whole entire movie. He's had a change of heart, and all the madness around him and the hatred for the world he lives in has caused him to run off the rails, and we can truly see the real Smith now. So many of us are so afraid to put the mask down and become ourselves, because we've had it up for so long and it's truly all we know at this point. But it's very powerful to free our mind and truly be ourselves, just like Agent Smith does in this scene, for better or for worse. Hugo Weaving's performance of Agent Smith inspires a lot of us, I feel like, to no longer present ourselves in such a fake manner, but to be ourselves and live for something that we truly believe in, because in Agent Smith's mind, he is doing nothing wrong. It is the only way to escape the Matrix. Even he wants to escape the Matrix, and his way of doing it is so much different than Neo's. And I can almost see both ways, you know, like I understand Agent Smith's philosophy. He plans to leave the Matrix behind, and in his mind, he can live in a utopia as long as the human race has been murdered and returned to the robots. This once again just roots us right back into the idea I've been pressing this whole time, that even the biggest villains in Hollywood just believe that they're doing the right thing. In Agent Smith's mind, the world would be saved and everything can live in harmony if only he could just end the human race and everything around it. It's a little different for Agent Smith because he didn't have a traumatic childhood or a traumatic experience, but he's simply going against the programming, which I feel like a lot of us have unfortunately fallen accustomed to. You know, you have to go to school, you have to get this job, you have to have this degree, you have to have a family, you have to buy a house, you have to work from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Agent Smith basically just does a fat middle finger to every single one of those norms and becomes himself for what he knows. He goes against the programming. In the last 2 movies, Agent Smith doesn't have that earpiece. His suit changes from charcoal to black. He's different than all the rest of the agents. He's unplugged and he's free to live and conquer out his own desires. I don't know. I mean, wouldn't you kind of say that's something you'd want for yourself? To be fully unplugged from everything that shackles you down and pursue something that you believe is right? So as this video ends, I'd love to leave you guys off with this. Villains are relatable because of their imperfections and unpredictability. They're much more realistic than the cookie cutter hero, like Batman. What are the chances that you'll be a billionaire that can wear your own suit? And then what are the chances that you can hate somebody for ruining your life? There's a way higher chance that you would be more like a Joker. What are the chances that you're the computer nerd who's chosen to be the one? And what are the chances that you're programmed into a system that you want to escape from? You're so much more likely to relate to somebody like Agent Smith. Psychologically, they are much more easier to compare to. We're all fuck-ups in life, and villains can really help us relate to all the mishap that's happened in their life. Villains are typically rebels with a deep desire to destroy the system and the world around them. I believe we all have that itch inside of us to escape from the system and unplug, and villains explore that narrative quite often. I think we've all got a little bit of the Joker and the Agent Smith inside of us, just crying to come out and just be revealed to the world. But it's often suppressed by either the good inside of our heart that keeps us pushing, or the world around us that tells you can't be yourself. So yeah, those are just my thoughts. I don't know, I basically opened up a Google document and wrote like a thesis paper on why we relate to villains, and I decided to turn it into a YouTube video. So I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you drop a like, and I will see you guys in the next video. Later.